Hello, everybody, and welcome to our second MO WIFF podcast. I am Commissioner Josh Rogers. I am welcomed by Cam Smith, the Executive Vice President, as well as the Captain of the Bombers. Cam, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm also welcomed by Jason Worsenholm, Captain of the Melonheads and bad boy himself. Jason, how you
Your
doing?
favorite player in the league. Hey, I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk about some wiffle ball, huh?
Yeah, let's before we get into all of that, let's talk about our sponsors. We want to thank our sponsors for supporting our league. Feather Shark, you can find them at feathershark.com. They're located in Chesterfield, Missouri. They do a lot of technology stuff, support VoIP phones and all those sorts of things. UCC STL, they will collect on court judgments awarded to you. You can find them at uccstl.com. And Winning Streak, if you love the way that Mo WIFF looks, they are our official outfitters of all of our jerseys and uniforms that we have. They do all kinds of uniform fittings and t-shirt designs, and you can find them at winning-streak.com. So thank you to our amazing sponsors of the Missouri Wiffle Ball League. You can also find us. We want you guys to follow and like us on all of our social media accounts. We have TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. So all you got to do is search Mo WIFF, and you will find us and like all of our stuff on there. That helps us grow as well. So Jason and Cam do a great job with all of our videos. Adam North, the captain of the Dingers, does a great job with our TikTok videos he's been putting out there. I try to do some of our graphics and put those out there as well with our score updates and other things as well. So go follow us on all of our social media accounts. We would greatly appreciate those things. So, fellas, we are 8 weeks in of our inaugural season and 7 to go. Everybody is about either 10 or 12 games into our season. So overall thoughts on how you guys think our first season has gone. Well, Cam, what do you think?
So far, it has been way better than expected. Not only the play on the field is better than I thought it would be, but just the amount of interaction with our fans and our social media following. Everything's just gone smoothly so far. I think one of the big things too is I think only 1 or 2 games we really had to rush to get through. We really haven't struggled with the time strength, which is kind of our biggest thought going into it, was making sure we get a full game in the 50 minutes and 7 innings. And we've had a lot of 8-inning games. We've had some shorter games, obviously, but there was only one game really 1 week where we were running a little bit behind on time. Even last week with the rain, we kind of still pushed through and got all of our games in.
Two separate rain delays there.
Yeah, no kidding. Luckily it pushed by quick, but yeah, overall, I mean, just the help that we've got from everybody has been awesome. I mean, the field set up and take down, but I mean, everything really has just run really smoothly. I mean, I think that's a big part from all of our players and helping us out. So that's really the biggest thing.
Yeah, especially I would say at the end of the night, 10 o'clock when everybody's worn out from playing and
yeah,
people hanging around and helping out has been a huge, huge thing. So Jason, anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's just interesting because I have a little bit different perspective coming in just because Cameron was one of the few people I knew coming in. And so I kind of had that perspective a lot of people are going to have if they're interested in ever joining that league of man, what is this going to be like? Am I going to know anybody? Are people is it going to be cool? Am I going to sit there awkwardly and not talk to anybody? It's one of those things that you come in and you don't really know what to expect. And it's been a lot of fun. And I feel like there's a lot of people that have bonded really, really quickly, whether it is through trash talk, whether it is, just kind of friendly rivalries and having a good time or having a fan base. It's been a blast. I mean, it's one of those things that the draft model for wiffle ball. I mean, I've never really played any kind of competitive wiffle ball. I played in a league that was kind of just for fun and was kind of a joke, but it was just kind of recreationally. So to go out there and try to win, back like we did when we were younger, it's a cool feeling. Not to mention the fact that you you feel like close to everybody in the league, even people that are on other teams. And you kind of get comfortable, like, talking a little smack with other people you've never even met before.
I think that goes with too, is even you started to see lately the past couple of weeks is guys are starting to stick around and watch the games behind them or get there early to catch the game in front of them. And like, just sitting on the bleachers, just, talking trash with the Dinger squad. I mean, the fan base and the interaction has been awesome between everybody.
Yeah, Jason doesn't know anything about trash talking. He's got to step up his game.
I've been pretty quiet most of the league, but I'm kind of like a silent bystander, but I do see it happening across the league.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I think everything has been just a huge success. And like you were saying, Jason, I only knew one guy on my team before the draft, and that was Parker, and I knew him from the other league we played in. But now, just like the Empire, just seemed like this small little family that we have, and we've only had 10 games. We've only been there for 5 weeks, but we've gotten close and kind of figure out how we're going to play and everything. So it's been pretty cool that way. And I think the other thing, it's been very competitive as well.
Yeah.
And everybody's still in the hunt to try to get that 1 seed. Even guys that are at the teams that are at the bottom, they still have a great shot. Everybody's very competitive.
Look at how the Mojo turned it around.
Mojo have turned it around. And we'll talk more about them and their players here in a little bit. But yeah, I've just been very proud of how everything has been run and set up and torn down, and all the social media things too. Even the things that we've gotten online from other people around the country. Like, that's just what I've been most proud of so far. So
yep.
What are you guys most excited about so far? I know I kind of just touched on that, but Jason, what are you most excited about so far?
I mean, for me, like, I'm just really, really excited about the direction we're going. Like, I mean, as fun as it is to compete and win or lose or whatever on the field, like, the direction that the entire league is going is just, like, really, really fun to me. Like, we're making, good content, like you've said, on social media that, like, to me is just as good as just about anybody out there. And we're just getting started. Like, we're literally,
Right.
We only started making anything really about halfway through the season. I mean, it's only been a few weeks now, and we've been, everybody's doing their part too. Like, it's not like any one person is like carrying the whole load. So like, for me, it's like everyone is so willing to pitch in. It really makes it exciting. It's kind of like all the things you wish you could have done growing up in the backyard playing wiffle ball. We're kind of doing that.
Right. No, those are all great points. And I totally agree. We have guys that play the 6 and 7 o'clock game, and they'll hang out the rest of the night and then help us take everything down and put it away and carry things off the field. And it's just been huge. So no, I totally agree with that. Cam, what do you think? What are you most excited about?
And, also, like, I'm very excited for, what Jason just said too. I mean, you can look at our first week video of week 1 compared to our video, what we do like this past week. I mean, the few things that we learn along the way, where to position the camera, where to set things up, how far back, in front of the net, behind the net, like, it makes such a big difference. And you can already see a growth in just 8 weeks. Like, it's been an insane amount of growth. But I think the thing that I'm most excited for is like the player progression. I think we've already started to see it, and I think it's only going to get better. It was very pitcher heavy dominated early on. And it's still like that a little bit, but you can see guys are starting to have better at bats. You're starting to see more hits. We still got to work on the walks. I know there's a bunch of walks, but I mean, that happens in wiffle ball. But I'm just really excited to see how some of the guys start doing. I mean, yeah, the averages and stuff don't really show everything right now, but overall, like, guys are really taking better at bats, really getting better on the mound too, which is just crazy because how well we've been doing. But right. I mean, even I'm getting better. I mean, I learned new things today.
Is that possible?
But yeah, exactly. But that's just what I'm most excited for. I'm excited to see the first half stats versus the second half stats and kind of see where guys go.
Yeah. I think what I am excited about is when people that aren't there to watch wiffle ball at Chesterfield they're there to go watch their sons play baseball, or they're there to go play baseball or even soccer.
Or ride a
And
bike.
yeah, and they come by and sit down in the bleachers, and I love talking to those people and just asking them what they think, and having them follow us on social media, and just talking to those people, and seeing their faces light up and say, man, I remember doing this in my backyard, and we have this rule, this rule, this rule, and it's similar to what you guys have. And that's what I have been most excited about and love doing the most when I'm not playing, and being able to kind of reach out to those people that are walking by and just sitting down and hanging out, killing a little bit of time before their kids' baseball game or after their kids' baseball game. They come over and watch an inning or two before they head home. So that's,
I've had plenty of guys that I've talked to just in between games, or even while games are going on and I'm just getting ready or whatever. And that's happening a lot, and I think it's only going to continue to grow.
Yeah, for sure. So we have had a lot of moments so far in our 8-week history. We've had pitchers have milestones. We've had teams have milestones. What has been your favorite moment so far? And Cam, we'll start with you on this one.
There's so many. It's tough, but one of my favorite moments at the time I was calling the game. Greg's home run off of you, Josh, and it's nothing against you, and it's because it's you. But
it wasn't even me.
But the moment was just so good. It was so crazy to see. The first run you gave up all year, it was in a very close game. Like, it was, the situation dictated everything, and that was just a great moment. Obviously my personal favorite was my walk-off against Spencer in the Melonheads, but because you can't really ask. It was a perfect game. Like 24, was it 24 batters?
Yeah, you're immaculate.
Yeah,
perfect.
24
strikeouts. Like, that would be my personal favorite moment, just because I did everything right that game and got the walk-off home run. But watching other things, that was one of my favorite moments, just because it was so unlikely. And, I even kind of called Greg being one of the steals of the draft in our last podcast. And to see him do that, like, kind of just helped me out a little bit. So it was a cool moment for me.
No, that was a hurtful moment. My first run I gave up, and no, that was a good moment. I agree. Jason, what has been your favorite moment so far?
Oh man, that's kind of tough. I was trying to think through what had me the most excited, and I like Cam, there's definitely been some plays on the field that didn't involve me that have been really, really cool. But I think for me personally, in general, my favorite moment was pitching against Cam and holding my team and keeping us right there with him and drawing that tie, because it's I have that mindset that I want to play against the best people. I want to compete against the best people. And that whole week I went in thinking I want Cam. I want to pitch with him. I want to do everything right with him because I knew he was the best. Yeah. And so I took that mindset, and it felt like, being 14, 15 years old playing baseball again, out there competing at the highest level you can. And so that for me was my personal favorite. But I don't know, like Cam said, there's been so many really exciting things that have happened in the moment. One of my favorite moments was probably the Mojo Empire game, when you hit the 2-run home run and then Sam Skibby answered with the grand slam, and it's that not even against you, it was just it was so intense. It was holy cow, both these pitchers are really, really good, and then you came out and scored those runs on the home run. Holy cow, dude, they scored on Sam. There's no way they're gonna win now, because that's just the way it's been. And then all of a sudden Sam comes up and does damage too, and so you spent the whole game really being holy cow, this is a whole nother level in this game here.
The hanging
that also shows Josh. You too, the player progression too. At the beginning, like you said, there was no chance the Mojo were going to score more than 2 runs that game off Josh, and anything can happen. It just goes to show you right there.
Well, my favorite moment has been the biggest comeback in a game so far. And that was my team, Empire, coming down. We were down 10-4 in the last inning, and I believe we came and scored at least 8 in that one inning. A lot of those runs with two outs.
16 hits too, and that was like, I mean, that was an offensive performance we hadn't seen like all year too.
Right.
So it was like you see 10-4 in the league how it had been, you're like, nope, this is it, like we're done. And then it was like hits, and it was like, dang, that's where we could be by the end of the year.
Right, and it was a whole team effort. Like it wasn't just one I mean, Mike had a dominating game that day, but everybody had hits that day, and a lot of us have been struggling, including myself, and I'm still struggling. But that's besides the point. But everybody had something to do in that game, and it was just a cool moment for us to, come together as a team and not give up and string together some hits. So that has been the coolest moment, whether it was just my team or anybody's team. We were down 6 in the last inning and came back to get that W. So all very cool moments, even though you guys picked 2 against me. Thanks a lot for that.
You've been involved in like the most intense moments though. Like it's awesome. It's cool.
Yeah. It's good. It's because they're always the close games too, which makes it a little more dramatic.
Right. So we're going to move on to some player predictions, player thoughts here. And the first one is surprise player so far through 8 weeks in the season. Who has been your surprise player so far in the first league? So in our first season, I'm like, Jason, what do you think? First surprise player.
There might be a little, and it's not someone from my team. So when I say bias, I don't mean that, but there is a little bit bias based on the fact that how he played against us. So I'm actually going Ryan from the Mojo. Because I had never even seen him play before. Honestly, we went into the game thinking, if Sam doesn't pitch, this should be, who do they even have? Like, this should be an easy win, And then he comes out and he was throwing gas, and then he was throwing that curveball that was like 20 miles an hour slower, and it was like, where the hell did this guy come from? And so like that to me was like, that was the biggest surprise out of any one player that I've had this year.
That's a good pick. No, Ryan, Empire, when we faced him, I mean, we only had scored a couple of runs. That was a home run off of me, and it was just a lucky hanging curveball that he threw me. So Ryan is a veteran wiffle ball player. He's got several years under his belt. So, but no, coming into the league, not knowing anybody, that's a great pick. So, Cam, who's your surprise player so far?
I'm looking at my list. I really have like 5 guys that I can't really pick one out over the other. I mean, just because
just read them off.
They're so new, but I mean, right off the bat, I mean, Alex Barrick, he was the second to last pick in the draft. I mean, he's been a buddy of mine since I was 4 years old, and I had to convince him to join the league. We were at a bonfire. I'm like, hey man, like we need more guys for the league. You love baseball, you love softball. Even though you might not be good right away, like you're still athletic enough to where you can pick this up. And he's joined, and I mean, he leads the league in walks. He's always on base, which is for
huge,
Cole.
Honestly,
it really is. I mean, especially because he's hitting Cole moved him to the 5 spot just so he gets on base for Cole. It's a huge strategy move by Cole, but also his pitching. He's been pitching really well for his team. I mean, he did, that game against the Empire where that comeback. He was pitching that game, but I mean.
He held us
he wasn't someone that was really expected to pitch for them either.
Exactly, yeah.
And he stepped into that role for them when they need it.
Yeah, I mean, I've known him for well over 20 years, and I'm surprised of how well he did. But I mean, Mike Flores from the Empire, his bat's been really good.
His swings
Mark
compared to the start.
Yeah, Mark Vogler.
Yeah,
I mean, he's hit like I think 3 like go-ahead game-winning home runs. Logan Trotter's hit 2 grand slams, and like
too, yeah.
Like it's been crazy. I mean, even Paul from my team, like surprisingly good on the mound compared, from what we expected. I mean, it's been surprising, and it's been good, and it's kept us in games. And actually, I mean, he picked up a win against Melonhead, so I mean. That was big. I mean, all 5 guys are really surprising, but I would say the number 1 guy on my list is probably Alex.
No, he for sure. That first week he came in, I didn't think he was going to pitch, and he came in and dominated. And then when we faced him, he threw great up until that last inning. I think he just ran out of gas. But
Yeah,
I want to say there was a lot of just kind of hanging at that last inning, but I mean, he threw like several innings.
Yeah, no, he threw great, and I think he just ran out. My surprise player so far, he's only been in 6 games. He missed the whole week, but it's been Colin Zerwiller of the Mambas.
absolutely.
And he's hitting 229 right now. He's got 3 home runs for a guy that's never played competitive fast pitch wiffle ball. Like, he has stepped up, and I knew he would, but he's also so into it, and I love that about him. That he's eager to learn. He hangs out after his games, or he comes early to see the other games and tries to learn some pitching from you and Cole. And he has a few innings under his belt, but I know he's looking forward to getting a few more. But I think Colin is a player to look out for in the very near future. So
yeah, I would definitely say, I mean, he's, especially towards the end of the season and going forward into next year and the following years, he's definitely going to be a guy where you want to keep your eye on and you want on your team, because he's going to be a good hitter for sure, and possibly a good pitcher.
For sure. Team MVP. So we're going to try to predict who we think, now that we're 8 weeks in, who will be each team's team MVP. And we'll go each team together. So we'll start with the Dingers, and then we'll all say who we think the team MVP is for each team. So Dingers, I think it's kind of obvious, and I think a lot of these will be obvious. But who wants to go first? Cam?
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, right. It's easy. It's Brett. I mean, you can sort of make a case for Adam, because when he's not on, they lose games, and when he is on, I mean, he's on. But what Brett's doing is, I mean, he's up there for, yeah, I mean, he's up there at the top of the MVP discussion overall. His pitching has been lights out, no runs given up so far. And I mean, he surprised me pitching against us, even though I've known him for a couple of years now and watching him, but now he's starting to throw harder than I've seen him. Like, each week he picks up more speed and more movement on his top gun. I mean, that pitch is just insane. But yeah, and on both sides, I mean, you saw it last week, and that big home run off of his brother, and he's had a couple other big home runs as well.
Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that he is a guy that obviously you watch him pitch and you say, yeah, that's ace material. You got a shot to win every week pretty easily. But his bat, it's becoming dangerous. Like, he's a hitter you're like scared to throw to. You watch him swing, and his swings just look better and better. Even his outs, he's making contact outs now instead of just striking out. And that's what we're kind of seeing across the league. But him even more so is like, we're getting a lot more outs that aren't strikeouts, and he's, he hit the home runs against us. He hit a couple. But I mean, yeah, he's
sixth
playing
in the
both
league.
sides.
6th in the league in slugging percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he's got back-to-back weeks with no hitters, where he's also lost those games, unfortunately, to our extra inning rule. But I mean, he is just dominating on the mound for the Dingers, and I think he's going to be their guy that they're going to have to lean heavily on to, try to move up in those standings and try to take control of that UCCSTL division. But no, I definitely agree. It's Brett.
No, I'm going to change my answer, by the way.
Oh, okay. I don't know if that's allowed, but we'll allow it.
It's the Dinger fan club.
True.
That's the MVP.
True.
Those guys
they have embraced the entire league. It's fantastic.
Those guys have been so fun to have at the field each week. It's so much fun just to listen to them talk. And I mean, they're getting in your head, Josh, not necessarily in your head, but
they're having the game with you. They're a part of the game with you.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was having fun bantering back and forth with them. It's just part of the game, and something that.
So would you say that it's the Dinger fan club fault that your shoulder is so sore? You need to step it up a little bit.
No comment. No comment there. All right, moving on to the Mambas. Mambas team MVP. Jason, take the lead on this one.
Well, I think that it's once again pretty obvious. Not anything against anyone else on the team. It's just Cole is hitting so much better than anyone else in the league. And, you know, I mean, he's not always on pitching, but when he is, he can hang with anybody. So you got the best bat in the league and a guy that has the potential to hang with anybody on the mound.
And he's their number 2.
Yeah, and he's had to step up into that number 1 role several times. Yeah. And he's done it. And so, I mean, I know that he's got some arm issues that kind of play into him not always pitching his best. But I mean, yeah, it's hard to deny somebody who's batting, you know, 100 points higher than everybody else in the league. You know, he's got as many hits as, you know, teams.
Right. Well, and it's funny because Cam and I were talking today. Cole had a huge game number 2 of Mo Wiff history for the Mambas. And if you take out that second game of his, he's still leading in average and still at the top of most categories or near the top of most categories. So, no, I agree. It's got to be Cole. I think if Jackson or Colin had been there every week, the story might be a little different there, depending on how their pitching and or hitting have been. But no, it's got to be Cole. He's at the top of every category offensively. So, Cam,
Yep.
what you think about your brother?
No, it's. I mean, I knew that going into the year. I told everybody to look out for him. He's gonna be up there and hitting. And what's funny is I know at least 2 of his games he hasn't had a hit, and his average is still 344. Like,
right.
You know, I know against me and against Jordan, he didn't touch the ball.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's Cole.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to Mojo. Team MVP for Mojo, probably another obvious one.
Yeah.
Cam, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, it's Sam. Sam has been, you know, one of the best players in the league so far on both categories. I mean, he's second in batting average behind Cole, but he also he hits big home runs in timely moments. And then his pitching has just been phenomenal. I mean, first one to 100 strikeouts, and he just keeps climbing that strikeout category. And his ERA, I know it's low. It's what is it? He leads the league in wins too. I mean, he has 5 wins, then I have 4, and the next guys have 3. But I mean, he's
0.78.
Yeah, I mean, he's easily just been one of the best players in the league, and it's been fun to watch him hit home runs off of you, off of, you know, he hit 3 off Andrew last week.
Golly.
Well, sorry. I mean, I was just going through the list. I mean, he hit 3 off of Andrew last week in one game. I mean, he's just
Andrew's
on a tear.
Pitcher, though.
No, but still, to hit 3 home runs in a game off someone who's throwing decent speed like that, it's just impressive to watch Sam and how well he's even progressing and learning and working on the off season. I mean, he was working today, so it'll be fun to see him at the end of the year.
Yeah, somebody with the most wiffle ball experience getting better is kind of scary to think about. But
yeah.
Well, and like you said, getting better. I mean, he's probably had a good chunk of his hits just in the last couple weeks. Like, he's really turning on. It's not that he hasn't versed good pitching in those weeks either. Like, he's hitting it off good pitching, and he's, you know, I don't even know that he was in top 5 in hits a few weeks ago, and now he's number 2, and he did that playing the Empire, playing us, you know, it's not like he played, you know, anybody who's, you know, just lobbing the ball. He played a lot of good pitchers.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like Cam said, he's 5-1, 0.78 ERA, 118 strikeouts in his 45 innings. It's just, he is dominating on both sides of the field. And I think without Sam Skibby, Mojo would be hurting very badly at this point in the season. But Sam has carried them, and I think Sam is helping the Mojo too. They're seeing what Sam can do both on the mound and at the plate, and learning from him and hearing from his expertise. And he's definitely got to be their team MVP so far in the season. So moving on to my team, the Empire. Jason, so far, who is my team's MVP?
I didn't even write a name. I wrote, this is a really tough call. I would say that, like, obviously, like, you've dominated on the mound, but you've got so many people that contributed to the team in other ways that like it's really hard to pick just one. I mean, you've got in the top 10, you've got, a couple hitters in there. You're a top 5 pitcher, and so then not to mention the fact that like if Jordan shows up for a couple weeks or could pitch in one of those weeks because his arm was sore, like
right.
he's right there in contention too. I mean, you've got a lot of players contributing, and it's really hard to differentiate who has been the most valuable. I would say that if Jordan had been able to pitch every week, then he has the potential to be that player for you because he can influence both sides of the ball so greatly. But
right.
because he hasn't had the innings for different reasons, it's really hard to say because you've got a lot of players that contribute. I mean, look at Nick Bone. That guy, he has found a swing in the last couple of weeks that is working for him. I mean, he's making good contact with the ball. And then, like we said earlier, Mike Flores had some really great games as well, and he's finding a swing. I mean, it's hard to say that one player is truly your MVP.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. I mean, like you said, Nick is 8th in hits. Mike is 6th. I mean, and then Parker and Jordan are 12 and 13. Like that's having 4 of your
did you miss somebody
5 guys in the top 13 of hits is huge. Yeah, Josh, sorry, but Josh, you've had some big hits. You had the home run off Ryan. You had the home run off Sam. Like you've had a lot of big hits. So like it is that was probably the hardest one. I actually wrote down your name and Jordan's name, but it really could go to anyone on your team because you're all contributing. I mean, everybody's scoring runs when it counts. I mean, even Nick, he hit I think 2 balls to the wall off of Brett. Yeah, I mean he leads the league in triples with 2, but I mean he hit 2 that were caught at the wall off of Brett. I mean, he gets a little more wind or different positioning. I mean, those are triples and maybe home runs. Yeah, it goes over the second fence.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, overall, I mean, it's tough. I mean, but
yeah, no, I agree with all that.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up the point that Jordan, even though he's only at 16 innings, still is not allowed a single hit. He's the only
exactly why I have him on the list. And you and him both, I think, are co-MVPs of the team only because your guys' pitching has been so dominant and everyone's contributing at the plate that, that's kind of where the differentiate is. You guys aren't letting up any runs. So,
right. Yeah, no, I mean, I have nothing more to say. I mean, you guys took it all, and it could be anybody. If, like you guys said, if Jordan was there, he missed 1 week.
He missed a week and couldn't pitch the other one.
Right, and that was 1 week where we played. Who do we?
That's when we hit the ball like crazy.
Yeah, the Mambas. We had that 6-run deficit that we came back from, and I think Jordan would have been a big part of that as well. So.
Absolutely.
Moving on to Jason's team, the Melonheads. Cam, I'll let you take the lead here. Who is Melonheads team MVP so far?
This is also a tough one. Jason, you've played really well on both sides of the ball. You're up there in hits. You're pitching up until I think maybe it's your last start, I think, but where you struggled, but you've been carrying your team on both sides. But, Blake has also surprised a lot of people with. Yeah, I mean, he's got the only hit off of me.
He's one of the highest on base percentage or the highest. It's close.
I think he might be second. No, he's first. He's ahead of Cole on base percentage. And by 1 point, but still, that just goes to show
we were just talking about how dominating Cole was at the plate.
Exactly. And then not only that, but you have Spencer as well, who's pitched really well, who's hit a couple big home runs. So that is a tough one. It's really a toss-up between all three. When you're on, you're right there. So that could be a race. And that's a good position to be in with all 3 guys like that, having a strong big 3 like that. Like that's gonna go good things for your second half of the season.
Yeah, as much as it hurts to say, I think it's got to be Jason on his team. him and Spencer have obviously been there, 1 and 2 guys on the mound, but you've only walked 14 guys and struck out 61.
And like 6 of those were in one game.
Right. And I mean, 26 innings pitched, and that's pretty dominating on the mound for somebody that, I don't think you've had any fast pitch experience at Yellow Bats.
I would pitch like once a year.
Right. And so for somebody that hasn't had any experience doing this, like that's pretty crazy to be able to be that dominant at the beginning of everything. So, yeah, and your hitting is up there as well. So, you, Spencer, Blake, all could be in the category of who, top 3 guys there to compete for your team MVP. And last but not least, we're going to go with the Bombers here. I'll go ahead and take the lead on this one because it's pretty obvious on who their team MVP is going to be. It is not Paul as of July 5th.
Paul's trash talking puts him like 10 points above Cam.
Cam has only allowed 1 hit all year. He is the fastest player in our league to 100 strikeouts on the mound, even though Sam did it first. Cam did it in less innings. Oh no.
Lost him.
That's bad news. He's going to have to try to join here while we're still talking. But, I think it's got to be Cam. There he is. He's coming back. He's also helping his team. He's teaching them how to pitch. He's teaching them certain tendencies that other pitchers might have and how to try to take control of the at-bat. And, he's bringing his pitching machine to help his hitters try to get more confident and even just get more swings in. So not even on the field, but even off the field, I think Cam is definitely a great leader for the Bombers and, has to be Cam Smith.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. It's kind of obvious when you dominate that much on the mound, that alone would win you it. But he's also, he doesn't get cheated on any swings. I think I said that last week. Every swing he's looking for big. And last week he really seems to have found something there. So, it's gonna be scary to watch him, improve his hitting because I think he's probably a little disappointed in how he's hit so far this year. But I think that at the same time he's trending in the right direction, like we've said a lot of the people in the league are. But not to mention, like you said, he's improving his players on his team. It's really easy to get frustrated in general when you're playing, and he does a good job picking up guys even when they're struggling, helping them out, working on their reflexes by throwing bats at their head. You can dodge a bat,
Whoops.
You can dodge a ball, one of those moves. But no, but I agree with everything you said though. He's both sides of the ball and off the field.
Cam, other than yourself, I know you guys have had some, I don't want to say player issues, but you had to pick up a player. And so that person, Andrew hasn't been there every week. Who would you say is somebody that is your team MVP if you couldn't pick yourself?
Man, it's tough. If that home run,
I was gonna say 3 feet to the right, and it's easy.
Yeah, if that home run was 3 inches to the right, Paul would be right there because that was such a huge game. He would have got us 2 wins.
Right.
But he's played great. Even just his trash talk while he's out in the field
he's got a good attitude.
Has been huge. Yeah. And then that and just the way he talks while we're on the field, he's been a big plus for us. Jake's been struggling a little bit lately, but he's still up there in hits. So hopefully he comes around. But honestly, just in the 4 games that Andrew's played, and just talking to him and knowing that he wants to get better and he wants to try pitching more and learn different things. I had to tell him dude, slow down, don't throw till next week. But he came in and he's had a home run each week that he's played. He's going to be a good hitter, and we've known that. But so I kind of got lucky with that one. But
yeah, there were rumors that he might be a ringer. I don't know. I just heard that.
Yeah. Well, it's news. It's news to me, just like it's news to all of you guys.
It's all funny. We don't actually care. I want everybody. I want everybody to get better. So it's
Yeah.
better competition makes the game more fun. So I really don't actually care.
Sam hit 3 home runs and he gave up 9 runs. So it's not like he's not a ringer. I mean, Paul pitched better in 2 games against you than he did.
Don't talk
Ooh. Well, that wraps up team MVP talk. Now we're going to move on to MVP predictions here of the entire league. So who do you guys believe, now that we are halfway through our season, who will be our first ever Mo Wiff MVP? Cam, I'm going to let you take this one first.
Part of me wants to say Cole because how well he's done at the plate, but I think he has like 6 losses on the mound.
But his ERA, he has 4 losses. But his ERA is still only
4 losses. They have 6. Yeah, that's right. 4 losses, which is the difference. I mean, yeah, it's that close, but Sam right now is just putting on a show on both sides where it's just he's catching Cole and hits little by little, and he's pitching just a little bit better, and I think that's the difference. I mean, Brett's also a guy that's up there too. It's just going to be tough, but it's right now. I mean, Doug's been putting it out there, Sam MVP. Like it's not something to take lightly. He's definitely up there.
Jason, anything different there?
I wrote, so this is actually what I wrote. I said Cole right now, but watch out for Sam and Cameron. And because the reason I still lean towards Cole a little bit more is because I felt like he was dominating at I don't know if I guess position, at stats that no one else is really doing. Like he's dominating at offense where the whole league is struggling offensively. Like Sam has picked it up, which is why I definitely said watch out for him because he's gonna get right up there in offense. But like currently looking at it, it's like to me, like Sam has pitched very, very well, but so have a lot of guys in the league. Where Cole has hit really well and no one else is really even that close to him right now. And so I put Cole right now, but watch out for Sam and Cameron. And obviously Cameron's tough to compete with because, the 1 hit given up, you could make the argument he may not give up a run all year.
Right.
That's a tough stat to compete with too. So
it'll happen. Don't worry, it'll happen.
I mean, that is where it's tough. But I think if I had to pick someone right now, I'm picking Cole just because I feel like he's playing better at something that no one else is really playing that well at.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with either of them, obviously.
Josh like
but
me.
No. But I'm leaning more towards Sam because I think Sam is picking it up as of late and starting to figure things out even more than what he has, both at the plate and on the mound. And like I said before, even if you take Cole's second game out, he's still kind of up there in all the categories. But if you take that second game out, Sam is up there in front of him in some of those categories. So I think Sam is taking the lead, but I think Cole can, be right there with him all season long. And I guess we can throw Cameron's name in there too, but we don't need to brag on him any more than we already have.
See, personally, I have a tough time discounting the credit against the game against Paul, though. I mean, we've played him twice, and none of us blew up in numbers. And that's the thing is, I mean, the Bombers have played 10 games, so it's hard to say that Paul is the reason Cole's numbers are so good.
And,
I mean, and
if you look at that
one
game
rough
too,
game, but it's like, I know when I was versing him, and I feel like a lot of other people have felt the same way. When you're versing Cole, like, it's hard to find a pitch he can't make contact with.
Yeah, if you take Cole's at bats away from that game, we might have won that game. It's not like the rest of Cole's team was hitting Paul. Like, yeah, you guys didn't hit Paul. If you take Cole's at bats away, Paul has one of the better ERAs possibly in the league, and maybe has another win or two. Like, he's a solid second pitcher if it's not for Cole.
I agree. No, those are great points. To give Paul even some confidence and some credit for what he's done. So, all right, Cy Young prediction. So there are several guys that I believe that can take this. Obviously, there's 2 that are up there dominating this, but Jason, I'm going to let you take the lead here since the guy that's here with us is probably at the top of this list so far.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote Cam, duh. I think it's just tough. I think when you're in general, like even game to game, like like if you've given up any runs, you're pretty much not gonna beat Cam, and that's where Sam has given up runs, and it's gonna be really, really hard for Cam to give up those runs in general. I mean, and it's literally like you're trying to scrape runs from Cam, where Sam gave up the home run to you. He's given up other runs in the league. Not to take anything away from him, he's been great, and he's only honestly, I think pitching wise, he's getting better too. And that's where it's not to take anything away from him. I think it's more to talk how great Cam's pitching is. You feel like on a week to week base, that perfect game is very, very possible.
For sure. I mean, it's Cam Smith. What else can we say about Cam Smith? But no, I mean, he's only given up one hit in 38 innings. Only 8 walks to 107 strikeouts, which is that's a stupid number right there. But Jason, he's going to give up at least a run this season. It's going to happen. He's shaking his head no, but it will.
I feel like the only way he gives up a run is going to be an extra inning walk, and then it doesn't even count against him anyway.
It's going to happen. That's where it's going to happen, and I don't care. But he's going to give up a run, and hopefully,
awesome.
I take that game from him in a few weeks. But hopefully, the shoulders got to get back there. Cam, don't pick yourself. Who's the Cy Young winner?
Yeah, I have myself at the top of the list.
Of course,
but
wow, conceded much.
But no, I have 3 other guys in the top. Like I had a top 4. My 4th guy was Jordan. Hasn't given up a hit yet. Just doesn't have the innings. I think with the innings, he will be by the end of the season, especially now where he will probably pitch more. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. I mean, he's pitched great so far. Got to cut back on the walks a little bit, but none of them have come back to hurt him. Sam's obviously up there. He's my number 3 right now, just because he has so many innings and he's been so dominant. But the other guy is Brett Spencer. I mean, like I said, he's getting better each week. I feel like he's throwing harder each week. He's getting more movement.
I was saying the only thing that might hurt him is he didn't get much of a game against us because he came out early. That game was so short.
But I mean,
he actually kind of lost some stats by not getting to pitch the whole game.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, that gives him plenty of innings the second half of the season where he's getting better going into the playoffs.
You might see him pitch 2 games more often.
Yeah, I mean, look what he did against us. He pitched the no hitter with the bases loaded walk in extra innings against me, and then
he pitched the only game that the Bombers have lost when Cam Smith has been on the mound.
Yeah, and exactly.
That's
no, we didn't lose. No,
it's a technicality. You were on the mound when you were already losing, but it's fine.
True, but yeah, exactly. I mean, he came in and got the save in that game. Like it's been, when you have the confidence to put a guy in there who is going to give you 0 runs, and it's hard to hit him. I mean, you saw how frustrated I was and throwing the bat and slamming.
I was mad I didn't get more at bats against him.
Yeah,
I popped up that first one, and then I only got I think that was my second at bat. I popped it up, and then I didn't get any more at bats against it. And I was frustrated because I wanted to see what it was like, and then
that's what it does. So. Like that's the definition right there is a guy who can make somebody that frustrated, and but he's right there. He hasn't given up any earned runs, with clean bases. I mean, he has the 2 losses, but extra innings. So, but I'm hopefully gonna stay up at the top of that list.
At what point do we just rename the Cy Young the Cam Smith?
There you go.
All right, we're gonna move on to division winners. We're gonna predict from this point. We have our standings now, and I'll go over those standings in a second. But who will get that 1 seed? Who will win the division? Each division and get that 1 seed in the winning streak playoffs. So right now, the Feather Shark division, we have the Empire at 6-2 and 2 in first place. Bombers are 5-4-1, and then Melonheads. So we are all in the Feather Shark division. Melonheads are 5-6-1. So let's go through our division, and this should be a fun discussion here. Well, let's start. Cameron, who's winning our division, the Feather Shark division?
It's close. I mean, we're only 1.5 games back of the Empire. Melonheads are only 2.5 games back. I know we still have 4 games against the Empire. We don't have any more against the Melonheads.
So we have a lot of division games still to play.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. I mean, it's really right now the Empire's to lose. I mean, with 4 games against each of us, they could either go really far ahead or they could fall to the bottom. But with their pitching right now, it's kind of hard just to not pick them. But you just never know. I mean, but it just depends on how the Melonheads pitching really steps up. I mean, if Spencer's there pitching and Blake can continue at the plate, but if it was up to me and my pick, and I'm not going to pick my team obviously, but it would be the Empire. I think with the lead right now and only 2 losses and the 1-2 with Josh and Jordan, I think even Nick as a third pitcher, it's pretty hard to go against them right now.
Jason, you want to go or you want me to go next?
I mean, I will be all over this. You
know
what though? Here's the thing: is unlike Cameron, I'm going to absolutely pick my own team. But here's my reason. It has nothing to necessarily do with myself or the fact that it is our team. I look at the fact that we have 3 of the top 10 hitters in batting average. We have the highest on base percentage guy, and our team ERA is not good. But that when I pitch or Spencer pitches, it's not the 20 runs we gave up. We've given up like 61 runs this year, but we've also, we've scored 41. Now we've played more than you guys have, but at the same time, it's like if you remove 2 games from us, we have a lot less runs given up.
True.
And it's I think that the mindset like in our group chat every week is we want to take 2. Like we don't go into any game thinking we can't take both games from people. And so I think that our team still has a lot to prove, myself included. Like I'd love to see myself hit better, striking out way too much, but it is what it is. But that's how it works. But I think that when you look at the fact that we have 3 top 10 hitters, and you've got Hunter who has at times had really, really good at bats. And Eric seems to at least make some, like he's been making contact against really good pitchers. He's not seeing hits, but he's not, just standing there striking out. Like he's making some contact. And so to me, it's like when you've already got 3 top 10 hitters, anything else from the other 2, that's where we've struggled is we've had, Spencer has missed 3 games. Blake missed a week. And so then it's like, that's one of your top 10 hitters in 5 games has been missing, not to mention that when Spencer's missed 3 games, that removes us from having a pitcher. Now, granted, he pitched in one of them before leaving, but it's like that makes a huge difference. And with myself and Spencer both having plenty of innings left to go through the year, it's not unreasonable for either one of us to kind of step up and say, you know what, when we need it, one of us can get it done. And so that's why I have a hard time betting against ourselves. I think that we're confident.
I think if we could go back, Cam would pick the Bombers.
100%. I have a lot of innings left too, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with any of those things. I mean, I'm going to toot the Empire's horn a little bit.
I think we'd be doing a disservice if we didn't think our own team could win, though. Like, and I know that Cameron deep down knows that he thinks his team can win too, and I know what he was doing. But
and that's why obviously we're all biased, and that's why I picked a different team other than my own.
Right. I get it. I mean, and that's the thing is like, sometimes the Bombers lineup can't hit the ball, but Jesus, come playoffs, I don't want to verse Cam, twice in a series. I don't want to try and steal a win against Cameron. Like, regardless, and not to mention the fact that like I know Jake hasn't been getting the hits, but I don't go up pitching to him thinking, man, he'll never hit this ball. Like I'm nervous about, quite a few hitters in your lineup making contact off me. So it's hard to discredit anyone in our division. I think that it could go any way, and I think, like Cameron kind of said, our in-division matchups are going to be huge for who takes it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping, obviously, the Empire can stay there with our pitching that we've had. I'm having a little bit of shoulder issues. We'll see how that feels on Thursday. But, I think with me and Jordan and Nick and even Parker, he came in and closed the door.
He found it in his second inning. His first inning, I think that it's tough, but then he kind of found it. And
against the Mambas, I think if we give Nick and Parker a little bit more time on the mound, they're just going to get even better. So it's hard to pick. I mean, I'm going to pick my team, but I'm not going to say Bombers or Melonheads can't, take the lead from us. So
I just think when we win 4 against the Empire, that's going to put us in a good situation. So
there you go. I hope you do that too. I mean, that'll put me in first place.
I mean, if Sam's hittable, what does that make your team?
We'll see who's talking after the Thursday night. We'll find out. All right, let's move on from our division. Let's talk a little bit about UCC STL division. Who's going to take that 1 seed into the winning streak playoffs? Jason, let's go with you. Who's going to take it for the UCC STL?
So I really didn't go any kind of shocker here based on their standings. I feel like that the Mojo, because of, obviously they have 2 good pitchers, which is huge. I mean, that anybody with 2 good pitchers is always in contention to be a division winner. Kind of we just talked about our division, how that's very much the case. And the Mojo kind of have that same build like we do in our division with really good pitching. But I mean, it's hard to deny, how good Sam Skibby is playing, and the fact that the team has only given up 12 runs. I mean, it's like when you only give up 12 runs, it's a lot easier offensively to not feel the pressure. Where I think that some of those other teams, because of the way they've started, are feeling the pressure to win a little bit more. Where they're just kind of like, what, let's keep playing our game and let's just finish the season strong.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, the Mambas are only 3 games back. The Dingers are only 3.5 games back, but it's gonna be hard to catch them, especially, we've seen Ryan pitch more now and he's starting to pick it up. The Mambas are hoping, I know Jackson had a wedding is why he kind of missed some time, and a couple other things, but they get him back. That'll be huge for them. So, I mean, if anyone's going to catch the Mojo, I think it might be the Mambas, but even the Dingers, the Dingers actually have more wins than the Mambas, but it's just going to be so hard to catch them. I mean, their hitting has gone pretty deep. I mean, even, Logan's been picking it up. Doug finally on the hit column after this past week. But he's just been a great manager of where to put guys. I mean, Chris has delivered in some clutch moments, big grand slam. And their whole team. I mean, how many grand slams do they have on their team? I mean, it's at least 4 or 5. I mean, it's insane.
Your team gave up 2.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Logan's got 2. Chris has 1. Sam has 1. I mean, it's crazy.
No, I mean, I originally wrote down Mojo, but then I got to thinking, Sam's already at 45 innings pitched. Even though I know we're halfway through, I think they're going to have to rely a lot more on Ryan's arm. And after Ryan, they don't have anybody else that's stepped on that mound.
Well, I think it's also, true. But I also look at it as all it takes is 1 Sam Skibby start. You're about to get something weird behind you, by the way. Maybe not. All right. All it takes though is Sam Skibby to have 1 start though, where the game is slow and he only throws 3 or 4 innings, and then you're right back at saying he's halfway on his innings, and that's where that's where we've had, some of our pitchers have been low on innings because we've had some of those games that go, really long time wise. And so, I mean, you never know. I mean, Sam could easily be pitching the entire season.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Mambas are going to catch them with their lineup hitting wise, as long as everybody's there. I think they can do it. They've had, obviously rough weeks, Empire beat them, they swept them. But I think, if Cole's arm and Jackson's arm and even Colin figuring it out, even Alex, they have a pretty deep starting lineup on the mound too. So I think my prediction is Mambas take the UCC STL division and get that 1 seed, that bye in the first round. So, so this first year of MO WIFF, every team is making the playoffs. Obviously, the 1 seed do get the buys, but let's predict quickly. Little short explanation of why you think a team will win. You can pick your team if you'd like.
Don't pick your team. Can't pick your team.
I say
Because we're all gonna we would all pick our
I think
own
at
team.
the end of the day, our reason for picking our own team will be the same as our division. So
exactly.
we can go away from
without picking your team, pick
All right.
somebody to win.
Let's go without picking your team. So, Cameron, go for it. Who's winning the inaugural Mo Wiff winning streak playoffs?
And I think they're gonna play each other. I think I have between the Mambas and the Mojo, and I think
because he's so confident he's going to beat us. So
no, I mean I'm confident myself, yes, but when you have Jackson and Cole in their lineup, it's so deep. I mean, I picked them at the beginning of the season to win, so I'm going to stick with it. But it's going to be very hard to beat Sam twice in a series, and they're hitting, even with Chris and Logan and the rest. But I mean, it's definitely going to be a tough game. But I think the Mambas lineup is just too deep, and I think that they're going to continue to show everybody that they have one of the best hitting teams and one of the best pitching teams with Jackson and Cole behind them pitching game too.
Jason, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. To me, and maybe it's a little division bias, I just have a hard time thinking in the way the playoffs is set up. I have a hard time thinking someone else is going to make a mistake before Cameron. And I think that puts a lot of us in a really tough situation for beating him in a series, because I think that, if you do go to that extra innings, it's really hard to, not walk somebody when Cameron has a very good chance at not doing it. Like, there's a lot more pressure in that 8th inning when Cameron's probably going to be perfect in that inning. And so I think it is really, really tough and not to mention the fact that Cameron's obviously, as we saw last week, starting to pick it up with the bat. I mean, as we mentioned, Andrew is hitting the ball as well. And I think we're going to see more from Jake. And I mean, honestly, even Paul has had really good at bats against me. I think if he could take that same mindset he has when he talks smack to me and apply that to other pitchers, I think he could take that mindset and do really well. And I mean, that's the thing is, I think Dalton quietly gets on base a lot more than people realize too. And that's really big for, the Bombers lineup moving. I mean, that's the thing is, when somebody gets out a lot, it kills the lineup, but it's he walks a lot and he works pitches. He really sees a lot of pitches every at bat. And I mean,
I would say he's probably taken some of our best at bats.
Yeah. I mean, it's really,
you see Jake and even myself and Paul, we chase a lot of pitches trying to hit the ball too much. But Dalton really takes great at bats, and I know he's going to get a hit. It's going to come, and it'll be a great moment for us. But you're 100% right with that.
Yeah, I just have a hard time. Yeah, like I said, picking against Cam to make a mistake over someone else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's going to be tough to beat Cam twice. He can't. He can pitch a full game 1. We're going to have to face probably Andrew or Paul game 2, but then Cam's going to come right back in game 3 and, just dominate on the mound again. And, Cam does walk. He does find himself into, a couple walks here and there as he's shaking his head.
I'm more mad at myself.
Yeah. I think that is the way you beat Cam, is to make him go deep into his, pitch count, get him up there to where when you are in that extra inning, he's tired and maybe out of it. But going in the playoffs, I'm hoping either you or myself, Jason, one of our teams will beat Cam. But if we don't do it, I think Bombers will come out on top in the winning streak playoffs. So before we, thank our sponsors again, do either of you have, something else you'd like to say or share with the crowd here?
No, I just, thanks to all of our fans and all of our players each and every week. It's been awesome, and our followers. And if you don't, please go like, follow, subscribe, all that fun, weird stuff that I don't really know about yet. But, just get our stuff out there. I mean, we've really appreciated everybody sharing all of our videos and our posts and everything. And, Jason and Josh, you guys keep doing a great job with the other social media aspects, and, Adam North as well. I know he'll be listening. So I'm just excited to see where we go.
Jason?
Yeah, a lot of what I'm saying is exactly the same. It's a lot of thank yous. I mean, thank you to our sponsors, as we've said a couple times, because without them, we don't have half the stuff we own, or it's coming out of pocket. And
Right.
and there's already a lot of stuff that has come out of pocket, which is a thank you to Josh, because Josh has paid a lot of his own money, I'm sure, to keep things up and going. But I think that in general, like, a big thank you to just everybody, because there's so many people pitching in to make everything we do possible, that I think it's just kind of a big thank you to a lot of people.
Yep, absolutely.
No, I'd piggyback off you guys. Thank you to everybody that has joined this league, have followed this league. It's something that Cam and I have talked about for a while, even before Yellow Bats. I've always thought about it, and just Cam and I messing around in parking lots playing wiffle ball. And so this has just been an amazing time, and I hope our success just continues to grow. So before we sign off, we do want to thank our sponsors once again. Feather Shark, they are located in Chesterfield, where we play. They provide, manage, and support VoIP phones, desktop servers, and networks. You can find them at feathershark.com. UCCSTL, United Credit and Collections. They will recover money owed to you from creditors, collect on court judgments awarded to you and or your business, and you can find them at uccstl.com. Thank you to our division sponsors and our amazing playoff sponsor and our official outfitters of our jerseys, Winning Streak. They are your one-stop shop for screen printing, embroidery, and sublimation. They do apparel, uniforms, spirit wear, promotional products, all that great stuff. And you can find them at winning-streak.com. For Jason, Executive Vice President Cam Smith, and myself, Commissioner Josh Rogers, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time. See ya.